Firearms friends, have we got an auction for you this February? It's filled with some things that we've never done before, and it's filled with things that nobody else has done before either. It's kind of like a wish list. If you were a collector and you wanted to improve our RIAC on time auctions, like it's a checklist of what you might ask for. So first thing, we'd like to be bigger. Okay, how about twice as big? Most of our timed auctions, are 2 weeks. This one's gonna be 4 weeks. Therefore, it's gonna have more items. This is gonna be just over 2,200 items, I believe. And because it's so much bigger, we're actually gonna close it over 2 days. So we'll close half on February 28th, half on March 1st. You might ask for well, why don't you live broadcast the closing? Okay, we're gonna do that too. We're gonna live broadcast the closing. We're really excited about that, dipping our toes in the water for the first time. And you might ask, well, why don't you bring some gun tubers or some influencers in there? You got it. We're gonna do that live broadcast on February 28th, not only with RIAC President Kevin Hogan, myself, we're also inviting 1911 Syndicate and 1776 Duck to the party. We're gonna talk about all things firearms that are crossing the podium at that particular moment. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited. Mark it on your calendars now. And the last thing you might ask for is, well, how about better guns? Let's see really, really good guns in this auction. Friends, we've got you covered. In our February RIAC on time auction, we are introducing what we're calling RIAC Select. What's RIAC Select? Simply put, it's the good stuff. High-end, carefully selected pieces. These are pieces you might normally find in one of our premier auctions, and we're moving them into RIAC on time, the format you all have made so popular. So the guns you like the most and the format you love the most, put them both together. And again, on top of all that other stuff, you have the makings for a very, very exciting auction. It's the historic, the high condition, the rare, the just plain cool, everything you'd want to see in a timed auction. We're doing timed auctions the way no one else can. And so when I was selecting pieces, highlight pieces to show in a video today to get you all as excited about the auction as I am, I selected the 4 pieces on the table in front of me. Very honestly, with not looking into them at all, they all happen to be RIAC Select pieces. So it ends up working out kind of perfectly to show you the quality. It's not only in the sale, but what we mean when we say RIAC Select. And let's start first with one that caught my eye. It's a beautiful Colt Lightning. Now, I've kind of a soft spot for Colt Lightnings, and this one catches the eye, right? Beautiful blued finish, gold inlay everywhere, case hardened with some gold line work on the buttstock, also beautiful. An extravagant Colt, we might expect, we see a Colt over here on the left side, gold inlaid though, very, very special. And if we take a look at the right side though, is where we really get a departure from the normal. First of all, how about all this gold line work, right? Not on the muzzle, not only on the caliber marking, but also around every single line that exists because of those internals on a Colt Lightning, around each screw hole. Fantastic work. But more importantly, behind it, the engraving, a departure from our typical American fare, right? And that's a large capital V topped with a coronet or a lesser crown. And that is for the ambassador, the Count of Villagonzalo. He's the ambassador from Spain to Russia for almost the entire 1890s. Now, to complement that, we also have some Cyrillic inscriptions here on the upper tang and on the barrel flat near the breech. His real name is Don Mariano Miguel Maldonado y Dávalos. He is the 7th Count of Villagonzalo and the 6th Marquis of Scala. Now, as that name would imply, he is an aristocrat. He is a member of nobility. He is also an art collector. As we mentioned before, he has a couple Russian positions or Spanish positions to Russia through the 1890s over a couple of the czars. And this is a wonderful time in Russian artistry. They're commissioning Fabergé eggs at this time. They're obviously commissioning gifts in other areas as well. And it's not a surprise, and that's because we've sold 2 of them before. These are both Winchester 1866s. They are both cased. Now, one is a musket configuration, one is a rifle, but they're both wonderfully done. Of course, engraved, and with the same Cyrillic inscriptions to the Count. So, clearly, a man with a taste for the finer things, clearly a man of importance at the highest levels of Russian and one could say Spanish government. And I think it's very interesting that we've seen 3 come through so far. It wouldn't surprise me that these are not the last that we will see. A man of that importance, especially if it's known that he has an affinity for fine firearms, probably, like most of us, is gonna own more than 3. And as those begin to come out, I think it'll be very interesting from a historic perspective, from a gun collector perspective, to just see how deep that collection goes. What a great choice for RIAC Select in this RIAC on time auction. Coming back closer to me, another gun of the period, this one from Winchester, and oh, what a beauty. You know, another premier auction level gun that has worked its way into this RIAC on time sale as RIAC Select. 1873, gun that wins the West, nickel plated from tip to tail, stem to stern, and factory engraved. Now, and factory engraved not just by anybody, but by John Ulrich himself. This one is not signed, but much like we can compare to other works, like our Russian or our Spanish count friend, we can compare this to other John Ulrichs that we've sold before, and it is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is a real collector's piece. Just sort of a mass of special order features. So it's an antique, nickel plated, factory engraved, John Ulrich. But after that, things get a little more unusual. Now, first things first, the stock. This is a standard, this is a straight grip stock. We're not deluxe, we are not checkered. It's an unusual combination to see, considering how deluxe the rest of the gun is. It's very unusual, but very neat, very well done. The other one is one that's a little harder to tell just from the eyeball test, and that's that this is a 20-inch octagonal barrel. This is a short rifle configuration from the factory. So put all that together, you know, all the things we've talked about with standard stock, John Ulrich, factory engraved, nickel plated, and it's an antique. Those are all rare in and of themselves. So the short rifle combination, you know, Madison, his book says that's 1 in every 450. When we get to nickel plating, now that's full plate, any metal plate or partial plate, you have 1 in 600. And when you get to factory engraved or inscribed, it's 1 in every 700. Winchester 1873. So put all those together and you start to realize just how rare and special this Winchester is, why it's a RIAC Select piece, and what a great, hole filler for a lot of spots in a lot of different collections. That's a beautiful and wonderful Winchester 1873. Now to mix things up a little bit with a pistol. You can see way up front there, we got a pretty good looking Colt government model, which letters to a T. And the letter really tells us some fascinating things and why that one's so desirable. Colt government model, national match, pearl grips, as you can see, and under this light and under the close-ups, the colors that come out of this thing, specifically the greens that I've noticed, are absolutely fantastic. But we also have B factory engraving on them. It's funny, the B's and A's you don't see as much, and that tends to be from single action armies through government models. A lot of Colts, usually if you have the coin to drop on factory engraving, you're getting that C class, right? Colt's very best. So to see a B class government model like this, a little unusual. Also, this is pre-World War II shipped. This ships in, I believe, June 1939 to Dallas, Texas, to a retailer that, if you're in the area, you should know pretty well, Cullinan Boren. And from the precursory searches I could find, I've obviously in later decades, a lot of locations. When this was shipped, you're talking less than 30 minutes from our location in Bedford, Texas. So welcome home to a pretty sweet factory engraved B-class Colt national match government model. Last but not least, the always unsung Marlins, right? They're always playing second fiddle to the Winchesters of the era. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I can't stop telling you how undervalued these Marlins are. They had a stronger action than the Winchesters. They usually innovated faster than the Winchesters when it came to cartridges and a lot of other things. And of course, you have the artistry, which is on par and sometimes superior to the Winchesters of there. And that's not a slight on Winchester. They were producing obviously beautiful, beautiful rifles, but you have ones like this who are engraved by Conrad F. Ulrich. And of course, he's one of the engraving sons of Conrad Ulrich, the senior, Conrad F. Ulrich Jr. I mean, he starts for Colt, cutting under Gustav Jung. He that comes to work for Winchester for a while. He's cutting some of their finest masterpieces that are going to the Centennial Exposition. And then eventually in 1881, he's setting up Marlin's engraving department, setting up their patterns, taking care of most of their high-end engraving, almost all their high-end engraving, and definitely all their special orders for their best, most important clients. This rifle, again, not signed by Conrad F. Ulrich, but through comparison and what we know about Marlin engraving at the time, almost certainly his work. This is number 2 engraving. This is the B-grade checkering. This is the Deluxe stock. We have the panel scene on this side. It's just wonderfully covered by one of the era's best. You know, he's cutting for Marlin for almost 3 decades. He holds that place of prominence from 1881 through, I believe, 1910. So what a range to be engraving at such a high level. The quality's there, the engraving's there. These are, you know, the Marlins, they're kind of coming up. I keep saying that they're unsung, and I hope I don't have to say it for much longer. That means this is the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to find factory engraved Conrad F. Ulrich Marlins. Because not only are they coming out of like world-class collections, they're also setting world records in recent years. Heck, it was just last year that we set the world record for model 1893, the predecessor to the 1895. Hello, are you listening? This is the time to get in on factory engraved Marlins or any high condition Marlins from that era before you have to pay the world record price or the Winchester price. And when you put all 4 of these together, I hope you have a great idea of what we mean when we're putting RIAC Select into timed auctions, that we're changing just what a timed auction can be, the quality you can expect to see from that. So check out RIAC on time. Tune in February 28th for our live broadcast, again with myself, Kevin Hogan, 1911 Syndicate, and 1776 Duck. Don't miss it. It's going to be a bunch of fun, but most importantly, don't forget to hop over to the website, place some bids, check out just how good the RIAC Select selection can be. Until next time, keep your powder dry.